Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. The thumbnail pretty much says it all today, folks. I think one of the best sports watches that I have ever owned and reviewed on this channel just got better. It's this one, it's the Formex Essence Leggerra, and it has a set of specifications and features that I've never seen replicated elsewhere. Carbon composite case, titanium movement holder, sapphire sandwich, ceramic bezel and crown, patented ratcheting deployance system, patented case suspension system, good Lume, Swiss-made automatic chronometer movement with a skeletonized rotor, fantastic levels of comfort, and on the rubber strap it only weighs in at 66 grams. Now the previous 43mm version of this watch was one of my favourite watches and most worn watches of 2020, and I believe this new 41mm version is superior to the old one both objectively and subjectively. I prefer it because it's a bit smaller and it fits me better, but I genuinely believe it looks better than the old one because of the new branding on the dial and elsewhere. Plus they've upgraded the movement also. Now all of that tech does come with a bit of a price tag. These start at around $1,800 US. But I think that is actually pretty fair when you think about it and when you compare it to anything else with similar specs from one of the bigger Swiss brands. Now I put the pop up today at the beginning of the video. I did pay Formex, but they gave me a discount, just so we're clear. And clearly I'm a fan of this one. Its predecessor got a lot of wrist time, and I think this one is likely to get just as much, if not more. But that means I think I'm in a reasonable position now to nitpick certain elements of this design to really get stuck into it. Just because I like it doesn't mean to say I couldn't like it more. Let's flip the camera and get on with it. Okay, so what exactly is this watch? Well, I described it in the intro as a sports watch, and I guess that could conjure up a couple of different things. One could either think of a watch like a Rolex Explorer, or one could think of a Garmin or something that one uses for actual sports. I guess this Essence is somewhere in between. I, however, have certainly used it for sports. When I ride my push bike, I only use one of two watches, a square G-Shock or my Formex Leggerra. I've referred to it on several occasions as a posh G-Shock, and certainly that's how this watch and its big brother, the 43, has fitted into my collection over the last couple of years. It's an analog mechanical watch, but it's light enough yet robust enough to fulfill the role normally occupied by a resin-cased digital quartz watch. Like I said, it has a really unique set of features, this one. It's a hard watch to pin down, to categorize, which is of course something that we watch nerds simply love to do, isn't it? The box is okay, if nothing you're going to remember. I've pretty much forgotten it already. All Formex come with a 3-year warranty though, which is good. And because this is a COSC chronometer, it also comes with a timing sheet letting you know exactly how well your movement has performed on the test bench. Now this will look familiar to you if you have seen any reviews of any Essence models before. This one looks essentially the same as the stainless steel version, even though the utility you get from it I think is quite different. As I previously hinted, this is a new model with the brand new logo and in the Goldilocks size of 41mm. So then 41mm in diameter, I measure it at 11.3mm thick. Lug to lug is a perfectly manageable 47.5, lug width is 22mm, and as noted on the rubber strap, 66 grams only. I believe the leather and canvas straps even managed to take a few grams off that. The NATO probably takes even more weight off. 100 meters of water resistance from a push-pull crown is spot on for a sports watch as well. The case is made of carbon fibre composite, and as such it has a matte finish. That's a nice contrast to the high gloss, high polished ceramic bezel, but which has a matte brushed upper surface to it. The semi-guarded crown is also made of ceramic and has the new Formex logo etched into it. The case is fairly flat, but at only 11mm thick it can afford to be. And this is the first of the two patented systems in this watch, a suspended case. To be honest, I had forgotten all about the suspended case. I think it's more noticeable and more useful if you have a stainless steel Essence, if you're wearing it on the knuckle and moving your wrist around. There'll be a bit of extra comfort there for you, but it's nice to have here. It certainly can't hurt. Now I got this 41 on the rubber strap, but I was able to carry over my leather and canvas from the previous 43. The rubber is good, no fluff, nice and flexible, and some nice long channels in the back to help with sweat on hot summer days. It's also quick release, so you can swap it over tool free for another if you want to. And this is the second patented feature of the Formex. It's a carbon composite composite deployant clasp with ceramic ball bearings in it for durability and longevity, and a very neat and discreet ratcheting adjustment system. You press the bottom of the two buttons and you get maybe 8mm of total adjustment. 66 grams, always exactly the right fit on wrist, definitely one of the most comfortable watches I have ever owned. And as I said, the movement has also been upgraded since the original model. This is a top spec Sellita SW200 chronometer grade, fully decorated and with a custom Formex rotor featuring blue screws and skeletonization. This is in lieu of the STP 111 that featured in the first gen of these. They are essentially the same movement at their heart, both being ETA clones, but I think if given the choice, most if not all would opt for the known quantity that is the Sellita rather than the SPT. 26 jewel, hacking and hand winding, 40-hour power reserve, and because it's a chronometer, -4 to +6 seconds per day maximum variance. Dial and hands. Now it may be the all-singing, all-dancing carbon fibre edition, but it looks pretty much the same as its stainless steel siblings. Quite a conservative design overall, really. Double applied batons at 12, singles everywhere else, and a half baton at 6 to accommodate the signature shallow beveled date complication. Formex logo and branding above the pinion, automatic and chronometer printed beneath it. Now I previously had the forged carbon 43 as you saw, but I opted for this white one this time because I was hoping that these gunmetal hands against that white dial would offer more legibility, and they do. The hands could perhaps though be a little broader, more on that later, but they do a reasonable job. They are both beveled and tapered towards the tips, and it's a very simple needle second hand with beveled counterbalance. No lume on the second hand, but plenty of BGW9 on the others, as you'll see in just a second. There's an angled chapter ring with minute markers and longer 5-minute markers, and that's just about it. Like I said, quite conservative, perhaps not a lot of wow, but a simple and easy to read dial nonetheless. And then there is the lume, a good solid application of Swiss Superluminova BGW9. Formex has done well in episodes of Lume Wars in the past, and this Leggerra certainly has all night legibility, no problem at all. Looks pretty good initially, but the key to a decent application of BGW9 is how long it lasts, and this lasts no problem. Frankly, as you would expect from this style of watch and a watch at this price. And on wrist, like I said, it's fantastically comfortable. I find the 41 more wearable than the 43. It's more within my preferred sizing window, if you will. It's slim like all Formex watches, the rubber is flexible, the weight is negligible, and the sizing is customizable. I mean, really, what else do you want? Legibility from the white dial is certainly better than before, definitely the upgrade that I was looking for. That's not to say though that a slightly bolder handset wouldn't improve it further still. And that's the pocket shot to finish. I wear this one high and tight, or should that be high and exactly how I want it, and it just doesn't move over the course of a day. It just sits there exactly where you left it, which is perfect. Okay, so moans and niggles, or perhaps nitpicks, would indeed be more appropriate today. There's nothing major here to complain about. It's a watch I really enjoy to the extent that I have now bought 2 of these, but that's not to say there aren't some minor tweaks that could be made to improve the model overall. The handset I feel could perhaps be a little bulkier on this carbon Leggerra model. I've said that a couple of times, haven't I? Differentiating it from its dressy stainless cousin. The legibility is good, but could be slightly better. And if we return to the Lume video, you can see at the end of the 20 minutes that a bigger handset with a broader application of Lume would definitely have benefited the after dark legibility as well. Now, 22mm lug width. Personally, I prefer 20. I was hoping that when this watch went down from a 43 to a 41mm case, they would take 2mm off the lug width as well, but they didn't. Perhaps that keeps their manufacturing costs down by utilising all of the straps and accessories of the 43, plus it has the added benefit that the watch feels really secure on wrist because it's quite a meaty broad strap. I'm sure it would have felt almost as secure on a 20 though. I could go either way, to be honest. I can see arguments for both sides, but I would have preferred a slight reduction there. Now my next 2 nitpicks regard the rubber strap and the deployant. The deployant is quite thick on wrist because of the 3 layers. Rubber strap, carbon deployant, rubber strap. You can see looking down my wrist there's a bit of a gap there, which doesn't help with the general feeling that there's a bit too much material under the wrist. Now I guess I could chop one end of the rubber strap off myself, thereby eliminating one of the layers, but I just don't want to do that to a watch that costs nearly $2,000. Perhaps Formex could reconsider the curve of the deployant in an effort to get those 3 layers sitting a little bit closer to each other. And while they're at it, perhaps they could narrow the distance between holes in the strap. The ideal scenario with one of these adjustable deployants is you're able to start off with the watch in the middle of the range, giving you a bit of adjustment to the loose side and a bit of adjustment to the tight side as well. Now, the smaller the gaps between the holes in the rubber, the higher the chances of you finding that sweet spot. I reckon Formex could take a third of the distance away, no problem, between holes without compromising the integrity of the rubber strap. Again, perhaps that's something they could consider in the future. But overall, this is a great watch if you have the need for something like this in your collection. It's a bit of a technical tour de force from a relatively small, independent Swiss brand that would cost many, many times the price if this had Tag Heuer or Omega on the dial, for example. I think Formex currently only make about 1,000 or so watches each year, so you get a little bit of exclusivity with one of these as well, which I think is nice. Perhaps not the same level of brand recognition though that you get elsewhere, so if that's a major factor, then maybe this isn't the one for you. But I like it, and I'm delighted they brought one out in the Goldilocks size 41mm just for this Goldilocks. So there you have it. There isn't really much else like this one on the market at the moment. It's a fairly unique proposition, I think, in terms of a super light sports watch that is still relatively affordable and you can actually use for sports with a chronometer grade automatic movement in it, etc. Very light, very comfortable, a few small tweaks though, and I think it could be even more comfortable. If you like it but prefer a larger size, why not check out my review of the 43? If you like it but prefer a smaller size, why not check out my review of the 39 in stainless steel? Thanks for watching this one. I hope to see you all again in a future video.